So I am Cristen Ervin. I am with the Maryland Department of General Services. I am actually now the Director of Marketing and Public Engagement, so I handle a lot of the promotional aspects of what the agency does, as well as connecting with the public, including the vendor community. Today, I'm going to be focusing on navigating eMaryland Marketplace Advantage, specifically going over some tips for success and how you can utilize the system to better prepare yourselves for contracting opportunities. I want to bring up my screen here. And all right. So today I apologize, I lost the one screen that I wanted to see. Here it is. All right, so during today's session, we are going to review some tips for ensuring you receive proper notifications. This includes how to properly set up your user profiles to receive notifications and how your selection of UNSPS codes affects the notifications you receive. I'll also demonstrate how to use eMMA to identify and plan for contracting opportunities. This includes a look at both the contracts and solicitations databases and taking a deeper dive into reviewing a solicitation. I would also like to demonstrate some of the resources that are available for eMMA users. I will end the presentation with a review of some of the new features coming to eMMA that will significantly enhance the abilities of the system as we take the first steps towards building out the full scope source-to-pay system within eMMA. So stay tuned till the end because you won't want to miss this. We're going to begin with eMaryland Marketplace notifications. So the eMMA system is designed to automatically email registered users to provide notification that certifications are up for renewal, and to let vendors know when solicitations are posted that match their contracting interests. How your selection of UNSPS codes affects the notifications you receive. So, to ensure you are receiving these important notifications, you need to ensure your company and user profiles are set up properly. This includes ensuring user roles have been assigned for each user on the company's profile and ensuring the proper codes have been selected to provide notification of opportunities. Now, I reviewed the process of assigning user roles in the initial Navigating eMaryland Marketplace Advantage presentation back in April, so I don't want to repeat that information here again today. However, if you missed that presentation, we do have videos that walk you through this process. Later in this session, I'm going to show you some of the eMMA resources, including videos, and I will point out where that video can be obtained if you need this information. So we're going to move forward with talking about the UNSPS codes. So what is UNSPSC? Well, it's the acronym for United Nations Standard Product and Service Codes. Basically, it's the 8-digit coding system that categorizes products and services commonly procured. So to break it down, each 2 digits in the code represent another level in the code hierarchy. That is, the product or service is more specifically identified the further down the hierarchy you go. Let's look at an example. Initially, the code 44103103 looks like a bunch of meaningless numbers, but we're going to break it down. And when we do this, you'll notice how it becomes a useful tool for identifying what is being purchased. So if you recall back to the code hierarchy, I mentioned the first 2 digits in the code represent the segment. So the first 2 digits of 44 are the segment in the UNSPS 44103103 code. This 44 represents office equipment and accessories and supplies. Taking a step down to the family, you see that the next code is the 10. So now we have 4410. Adding the additional 2 digits now makes the code mean more specifically office machines and their supplies and accessories. Continuing on down the class, we add the 3.1, which more specifically identifies printer and facsimile and photocopier supplies. So as you can see, each level we're getting a little bit more and more specific. When finally we reach the commodity that ends with 03, which means specifically toner. So you can see as we add the additional 2 digits each level, it gets more and more specific as to what we're purchasing. So this is just one example. And this is also taking a look at it from the point that we're going to understand what the code means. However, in the real world, you'll probably need to do just the opposite. You'll need to find the code that matches the product or service that you sell. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to jump over to a real world demonstration. I'm going to get into eMMA, and we can walk through searching for these codes so it gives you a better understanding of how this works. So give me a moment as I pull up the live eMaryland Marketplace Advantage system. And here we go. So this is me logged in to eMaryland Marketplace Advantage. I am actually logged into what we call a training system so that I can play with the profile and not, mess up anything within the system. So sometimes you're going to see at the top a little error that says this is a training system, not production. Just ignore that. You will not see that. So, but this is essentially a version of what you're going to see. This is my profile here. What I want to do is to get to the commodity and service codes, or the UNPSC codes. I want to select the qualifications. If you give me, make it a little bigger because I think everybody would like that. Here's the qualifications. Now you can see the commodities I have listed under my profile are listed right here. Currently, I only have 1, but I'd like to add more. So to do this, why am I not? Oops. So to do this, I'm going to bring down this drop-down menu. You can go and select from the drop-down menu, but I feel that the easiest way to look up commodity codes is to open up the screen using See All. And bear with me, for some reason this system is running very slow today, but it will open. Here we go. And there's that message I was telling you about that you won't see. This brings up the commodity selector, which gives you the ability to search for your commodities and service codes. Now, from this screen, you can do it 2 different ways. One, you can utilize this keyword search box and search based on a keyword or short phrase of your choosing. Or you can use the selectors down here that will allow you to basically work your way through finding the commodity almost in a similar fashion that we observed the code earlier, where we're going down the hierarchy. So let me look at that first. Yasmin, do we have any examples of what types of companies we have with us today?
Yeah, we have a lot of categories: professional services and a lot of IT.
All right, so let me see. So it looks like there's an IT one here, and I'm doing this with you all today, so I'm going to have some of the same struggles that you have when looking for the codes, but hopefully what I do, we can get you some tips for finding these codes a little easier. All right, so the only information technology one I really saw.
We also have construction as well.
Okay. So it looks like we have a lot of services. Now, our services will begin if you start looking down towards the higher numbers in the list. You'll notice these are a lot of services, and then everything up here, if you're following me, you'll see supplies and equipment and things of that nature. So just keep in mind when you are looking for your codes, if you're providing a product, a physical product. It looks like you want to stay above the six codes, the 6.0 codes, and it looks like services begin at the 7.0 codes. So that's just a little trick there. All right, so and these are a lot of professional services: our financial services, healthcare services, educational and training, travel and lodging, personal and domestic. So basically, if you select which fits your service, let me go with this cleaning services because I'm not exactly sure what it entails, but we're just going to look at it together. Industrial cleaning services. Now, what's going to happen is when you click that plus sign, it's going to drop down the list of the next level in the hierarchy code. So now you can see the 101112 has been added. So let's say you provide janitorial services, that's going to fall under here, this cleaning and janitorial services. If you want to get more specific, you can drop down the menu. Keeping in mind, you are able to select codes at each level, and it is recommended that you do so because what's happening is when the procurement officer is entering a solicitation, they may be selecting the code at the high level in hopes of collecting all of the companies that fall under that code. However, what doesn't happen is when they select at the high level, it doesn't automatically populate the selector for all of the codes. It specifically selects this high level code. So in return, what we want to inform the businesses to do is to also select that high level code in addition to all of the specific codes under it. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone. If it does not, you need some clarification on what I said there, please let me know and I'll try to explain it a different way. But as you can see, we're selecting the 7, 6, and then followed by zeros, the 7, 6, 1, 1, followed by zeros. We can get even more specific, and we can select the 7, 6, 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 0, 5, and that gets you to the most specific code that we have. So as you can see, we have now 4 different codes selected, but they all represent this single code. And it's all just a matter of how the procurement officer puts it in. We want to make sure that you get that notification. So Yasmin, if we have any questions related to this, go ahead and interrupt me so that we can address those now. Otherwise, I'm just going to go ahead and move on to what I think is the easier search method for finding commodity and service codes.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I'd just like to remind everybody that's joined us since the beginning to please type out your questions in the chat box and we'll address them as we move through.
Wonderful. All right, so that was really a demonstration on how you search for codes using that hierarchy method and going through those different levels. Now, more likely, you're going to know what you do. And I recall, let's see what we bring up with information technology. Hopefully I can spell because I'm being put on the spot. And let's see what happens. All right. Oh, that's okay. So essentially what this is telling me is that it doesn't get 4 results were found. All right, so what you do to look at your results is you scroll down. Everything highlighted is going to include the result the keyword or phrase that you entered. So we have information technology, broadcasting, and telecommunications. We have, oops, looks like they all fall under that. So, and if you hit this down arrow here, it takes you to the next result. So information, okay, so there's the high level, and then there's information technology or broadcasting or telecommunications. Information technology consultation services, and information technology service delivery. So that covers the 4 results that were found. So if you're looking for information technology, hopefully that guides you towards what you're looking for. What the other thing you could do is search more specifically what you provide in that field. You could break out these words and only search for information and then or search for technology. So that there's different ways of searching for keywords. I'm going to use the other example that was mentioned in construction and see what we find. All right, so construction. Well, when you said people were in construction, I don't think you meant construction paper. So let's look at the next result. We have building construction machinery and accessories. Well, so if you provide any type of building construction machinery and accessories, it's likely that your codes are going to be listed in this under this code hierarchy. So that's great. However, let's continue on and let's say we do construction services. So here we are with the service code, building and facility construction and maintenance services. So as we expand it, you're seeing all of these highlights mean that the word construction, our keyword that we searched for, is contained within the description. So basically now all you have to do is look through these codes and figure out which ones are applicable to your company. Now, a little tip I like to give businesses, and I'm going to expand some of these just so you guys can see some of the codes that are listed. The tip I like to give businesses when selecting codes is don't just focus on what you do per se. Focus on the types of contracting opportunities you would be interested in. And I'm going to explain this a little bit. And I'm going to use construction as an example. I represent the Department of General Services, and we do a lot of construction around the state. And we do a lot of big projects as well as some smaller projects. But what happens is on the bigger projects, when we are, let's say we're building a new building, we're building a new courthouse, there's a lot that goes into that. And what happens is all of those little components that go into a large construction project may not be captured when the procurement officer is putting together a solicitation. For example, when we're building a building, there's going to be a lot of little things needed. Let's say scaffolding erection. There's going to be scaffolding needed to do the building facade and things of that nature. The procurement officer is not going to put in a code in eMMA for scaffolding because it's incidental to the project. It's not something that we're going to directly contract for. Rather, they're probably going to put in some high-level codes. They're going to put in a general contractor code. They're going to put in maybe some, this building facility construction and maintenance services code. They're going to put that high-level code in there. They may get into some of the more specific codes for big things like masonry work if it's going to be a brick building and things of that nature. The other thing they may not think to put in is, at the end of construction, one of the things that has to be done is a parking lot has to be created. And that just tends to be incidental to a project as well. So if you do asphalt work or parking lot work or, line striping, you may not see this solicitation come out under, paving or striping when you select that code because it's just incidental to the larger project. So what we recommend you do is look at and select some of these other construction type codes so you receive the notifications, and then you can take a look at it at the specifications within eMMA to see if there is something in there for your company. So we recommend that you do that so you're not missing out on opportunities. I hope that makes sense to everybody, and I hope you find that as a valuable tip because I don't want folks to miss out on opportunities simply because codes didn't align 100%. I want to make sure that we're helping you identify the appropriate opportunities. All right.
Hi, Cristen. We do have a couple of questions. First one is, I do construction documentation. What code would that be for me as a photographer?
As a photographer?
Yeah.
I would, so that actually is a very good example of what I just explained. You can likely search for photography, and I can do that. I'm going to abbreviate it because I know I'll spell it wrong under pressure. That's not it. Not a visual.
You just passed it. Running at 45.
Okay, let me find my next result. That's not it. Where did it go?
Running in photographic.
What was that highlighted in yellow? Said printing, photographic, audio, visual.
These are all commodity codes, not service codes. I'm looking, hoping I keep scrolling down until it takes me to my next. There are 22 results, so right now I'm trying to get down to.
That's fast.
Yes.
You gotta put
I didn't try to take the easy way out. Maybe it would have given me better results. Let's see. Photography. One result found. Okay.
82.
Yeah, so I would say if so if for photography, I would say select the 82000000 code, select the photographic services, and then select the photographers and cinematographers. And then specifically, if you do any of these, you could select those as well. But you had mentioned that you do construction documentation. And that takes me back to what I was just explaining. When we are putting out a construction project, we are not going to be adding a photography code to that because that is going to be something that is likely packaged in with the project management aspect of the project. So if that service is needed on a project documentation, it will likely not be outlined in the coding. It'll be outlined in the specifications. So selecting a construction code would allow you to see which construction projects are coming out, and then you can look at the scope in the solicitation to see if the photography or documentation services are needed. So I would definitely choose your codes both ways. And that goes for a lot of services. If you have a question about whether or not you can learn about an opportunity by selecting a code, I would default to selecting that code. And at a later time, if you find that you're getting incorrect information, like notifications that aren't really relevant, they're not going to pan out with any opportunities, you can always go back and edit your profile and remove a code. You can see I've selected through this example a lot of different codes. I've just kind of checked. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit the close button, and what's going to happen is you're going to see all of these codes that I have selected throughout this demonstration added to my profile. Now, to get rid of any of the codes at any time, you can hit the X, which is the code that I previously had, or I guess the trash can takes away the codes that I've entered on this example. So if you find that later down fabric and furniture cleaning services aren't really generating any notifications that are relevant to you, you can always delete it, and it will eventually delete from I don't know why that's not working right now, but maybe because I haven't saved it yet. But you can always change your codes. You can always add more codes, delete codes, And there we go. There we go. And then, so you can see it deletes. So when in doubt, play with your codes. Select some codes, go back, look a month later and see what's working for you, what's not. There is really no science to selecting your codes, because the way that the coding system works, sometimes it gets to be too specific, sometimes it gets to be too general. So you're really going to have to find the good balance there, so that you're utilizing your time properly in looking at solicitations, but you're not missing out on opportunities. So do we have any more questions right now?
Yeah, we do have another one. Samantha says that she's trying to follow along with your demonstration by doing her own eMMA profile, and her account doesn't seem to have the word search option that you are showing.
All right. So I'm going to go back into it because it should be there. I am in a training system, but it really should mimic, oops, I'm on the wrong thing. So let me go back through it, and if we still continue to have that problem, then we'll have to probably contact the help desk for that, because I'm not really sure why it wouldn't be working. But to get to that, the way I did it here was I clicked in this commodities box here, and it brings up the drop down menu. At the bottom of the drop down menu, if you select See All, this keyword box should appear. So if she could let me know if that isn't happening, because if it's not, then that's definitely a help desk question, because I do not know why that would be. But it should be showing up with that keyword search, as well as all of the drop downs below.
Okay, and where is the help desk, or how do you open a ticket?
So to get to the help desk, I'm gonna open up a new screen. All right, so this is the procurement site, and I'm going to go to the eMMA page over here. So right now I'm just on procurement.maryland.gov. I'm going to click on the eMMA button over to the left, and the help desk information is this bottom email address right here. It's emma.helpdesk@maryland.gov.
Okay, great. She said she didn't see the search all feature, so she's going to contact the help desk.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry you're not seeing that. I don't know if there's something updated in the live system that didn't update in training, but that should be available. And I'm actually gonna, give me a second, and I'm gonna throw the help desk email address right in the chat box there too. All right. So that covers the selection of the commodity codes. Do we have any other questions before I move on to the next?
No more questions at this time.
Okay. All right, so we've gone through the codes. We've broke for some questions, and now I want to move on to identifying planning for opportunities. So I want to take a look at how eMMA can be used to identify and plan for contracting opportunities. So first, there's a solicitations database, which contains the public postings for open solicitations, or those which are currently accepting responses. The information from these solicitations remains available in eMMA even after the solicitation is closed. So you can see even closed solicitations, which is important to note because you want to make sure that you know what you're looking at. When we go through the live demo, I'll make sure that I point out how to determine whether or not a solicitation is still accepting bids or responses, and whether it's not. The eMMA also houses a contracts database. So this is the database that contains information on active contracts. And I'm going to show you both of these databases. So all of the information can help your company plan for and pursue contracting opportunities. Open solicitations are those which are open to responses currently. These are the opportunities your company can participate in right now. Closed solicitations are those which no longer accept responses and are likely already awarded or in the award process. So when preparing for an upcoming opportunity, vendors can refer to the closed solicitations to gain some past knowledge of what was purchased, the scope of the contract, specifications, requirements, etc. It's basically just a business intelligence tool to help you understand contracts. The Active Contracts database is a valuable tool that can be used to identify future potential opportunities. So I'm going to, again, switch over to a live demonstration so that I can show you where, how to use some of this information. For this one, I'm actually in the live system. So this is the homepage for eMMA. It's emma.maryland.gov. And this is what everybody will see. You'll see that your login, where to log in up here. If you are new to eMMA and you need to register, you will begin that process by selecting this link here. Make it a little bigger. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at this public solicitations and this public contracts search boxes. So we're going to start with the public solicitation. So we click on that. What's happening is it's going to open up the search box at the top, but it's also going to list some current solicitations that are out there. I'm not honestly sure what displays here, how it's chosen to be displayed. I just know that it pops up. You can sort by some information. So you can see how when you click the button here, the due date, close date, it sorts it by the date. You can sort, by any of these different categories. Well, luckily they're all open. That's good news. So that you can kind of get, some additional information the way you'd like it. What I want to show you today is we're going to search for a solicitation, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on the search. I'd rather spend more time on the actual looking at the solicitation contents. So I want to show you the search box though. First thing, you have your keyword search, and we kind of demonstrated how to use a keyword search. You also have the categories you can select. The categories are the UNPSC code. So if you'd like to search by specific UNPSC code, you may do so. The status defaults to open. You want to keep this as open if you're looking for opportunities that are currently accepting currently accepting responses. And when I say response, it means if you want to submit a bid or a proposal or whatever the response is that the procurement officer is looking for. To get more information or to search for additional criteria, you can open up the advanced search box by clicking on this arrow. Now what you're going to see here is you're going to see a lot of different categories, including type, award status, over here award, authority, agency, sub-agency, and site. I don't really get into using the type or the award status. However, the authority is useful when you want to hone in on who's buying products or services. So if you're looking specifically at the University System of Maryland. So this is University of Maryland College Park or University College or I'm sorry, it's Global Campus or Frostburg University, Towson University, any of the universities that fall within the university system, you're going to select this option. State of Maryland is going to be inclusive of all state government agencies, whether it be the Department of General Services down to lottery, transportation, any agency that falls under the state of Maryland. State and community colleges is going to be the community colleges and the few state colleges that don't fall within the university system. And then local governments and municipalities is going to be all of those other local governments and municipal governments that utilize eMMA to advertise opportunities. So basically, what you're going to see here is a lot of times these organizations will advertise in eMMA and then they will direct you to their own managed websites for additional information. But eMMA is a single point of contact to learn about all of these different opportunities from all of these different organizations. State of Maryland, I'm going to choose that today because I represent a state agency. And then more specifically, you can select your agency if you'd like to. So if I just want to search for state of Maryland for state, I can do that. Or I can go down to, see if I can find it. Actually, I typed in general because I'm going to select Department of General Services. And then I can even further go down the sub-agency and site, but unless you understand specifically how that is laid out, it may not benefit you. I wouldn't go any further than agency, or else you might be limiting yourself. Now, to the right, you're going to see all of these different programs. These are the socioeconomic programs that the state of Maryland participates in. You have your SBR program, which is the Small Business Reserve. You have your Minority Business Enterprise program, your Veteran-Owned Small Business Enterprise program. These are the 3 state programs. We also have an SBE program, which is a Small Business Enterprise program. That's a federal program that you'll primarily see utilized on transportation type contracts. And then the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise program, which again, federal, that you'll primarily see on transportation. The other thing you'll see is the MBE sub-goal. Under the Minority Business Enterprise program, there is a goal that is applied to specific contracts, but there can also be sub-goals applied to specific contracts. So you can search based on any of this criteria. If you want to search specifically SBR designated procurements, we can select that. Or if you want to select something that you know has an MBE goal, you can select that as well. So let's search for opportunities that have an MBE goal. Down here, you'll also notice that as you select different criteria, it'll be outlined down here. You can, if you find something you want to remove, you can always hit the X to remove it, or you can remove it up here. Either way. Once you're satisfied with your criteria, select search, and then the results will populate at the bottom of the screen. So what we should be seeing here is anything from the Department of General Services that has an MBE goal. Now, I want to, let's see, let's look at remodeling the restrooms at Elkton District Court. So as I mentioned before, we do a lot of construction. So a lot of what you're going to see is construction type procurements within the Department of General Services. So here's the solicitation. This is the first thing you're going to see when you click on that solicitation. And I'm so sorry, I should back up. Let me see if I can back up. No. All right, well, I can back up, but it's going to make me do my, I skipped a step in something I wanted to show you all when we were searching. All right. So I wanted to just go over what you see on the search results page. You're going to see the ID. The ID is the solicitation number assigned by eMMA to the solicitation when it's entered. The title, that's what's entered by the procurement officer to identify or describe what the project is. Status, again, open means it's open and accepting bids. However, you also want to pay attention to the due close date, because if this date is passed, then obviously you cannot submit a bid because it's already past the open date. And then the main category is a category that the procurement officer selects to identify what type of project. You're going to see this very high level. This solicitation type. This is going to tell you what type of response the procurement officer is looking for. Here is an IFB. Frequently you're going to see IFB, which is an invitation for bid. Basically, that's going to be asking you to submit a bid response. A RFP is requesting a proposal response. And if you are not familiar with the difference, then I encourage you to visit the Governor's Office of Small Minority and Women Business Affairs website. They have some training on that comes around through their technical training classroom, and some of it does talk about bids versus proposals and things of that nature. And then you have your issuing agency. Now, I did select Department of General Services. So you're only going to see Department of General Services here. But if you didn't select a specific agency, you would be able to figure out which agency is purchasing based on this. So now let's go back into the solicitation. To open it up and to review the actual contents, I'm going to open it here. And this is the solicitation. Again, the title, the ID number. Pay no attention to the lot and round number. That's really going to be applicable to really when we get into amendments and things like that, which we are not going to be able to cover today, but I can show you resources when learning more about that. Your bid due date. I mentioned there is a date in which bids must be, or responses must be submitted. There is also a time. Please, please, please pay attention to the time. It's not close of business. It's not, the end of the day. There is a specific time. So on September 22nd, if your bid is not in by 2:00 p.m., it will be rejected. So just keep that in mind. As you look down, you'll see some pretty general information. You'll also see the procurement officer name and email address. If you have questions about this specific solicitation, you are encouraged to reach out directly to the procurement officer and ask that question. We don't want vendors, assuming things or guessing. We really want to make sure that you have the information that you need to pursue the opportunity. So please do not hesitate to reach out to the procurement officer. What will happen is when you ask questions, they also need to make those questions and the answers available to the public so that all vendors have the same information. So that's why they require you to submit those questions in writing. So there's an email address. You can shoot them an email, ask your question, and they will get back to you. There's a summary that they can add to the solicitation. This is a short summary here. It gives you a high-level overview of what's happening. They add for construction projects. There is a class code that they do add so you get an idea of the value of the solicitation. This is just a general class assignment. So you can see that they're expecting this solicitation or this project to cost between $100,000 and $500,000. Small business reserve designation. In the state of Maryland, there is now a mandate that any project under $500,000 is reserved, or any procurement under $500,000 is reserved for small business participation only. This came down from the governor's office. So you will notice that this is now identified as a small business reserve only project. It also has a 25% minority business enterprise goal, which means that 20% or 25% of the contract must be satisfied by a certified minority-owned business. So you can see all of that information right on the main page. Now, when you want to get into the meat of the solicitation, that's this. This is where you get to your scope and all the contractual information and things of that nature. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to show you a solicitation is to show you how to utilize it to prepare for contracting opportunities. So I'm going to go back up a little bit. So you can see, obviously, when there is an open solicitation, it's open for you to bid. That's great. However, let's say this was a closed solicitation. It's already been closed, but it's something you would have been interested in had you have known about it. You can use this to really see how we're buying things. You can go into the scope. Where is it? Here we go. You can go into the specifications and see what the project's like. You can say, oh, there's prevailing wage. What does that mean? Go in and learn more about it. So these are all business intelligence tools that you can use to learn more about how we buy things. All right, so this is the solicitation, and hopefully that's pretty straightforward. I want to go spend some time on the contracts database too before we run out of time. So I'm going to go back on to, go back to eMMA. I'm going to hit up here, go back to eMMA. Public contracts. So let's look at the public contracts. It's going to look very similar to the public solicitations. The only difference is the information contained within the actual documents you're looking at. So I want to again look at now I'm going to look again for general services. So let's look at a contract. All right, fire alarm system upgrade, and let's see. I'm going to look at a janitorial services contract. So here's janitorial services at Saratoga Center. I'm going to open this. And what we're seeing here is this is a contract that was effective August 31st and it expires on August 30th. You can see who the contract was awarded to. You can see the total contract amount. So how we can use this information is Saratoga Center is a building that's going to likely utilize janitorial services, indefinitely until the building closes or sold or is no longer occupied. So you can probably assume that when this contract expires, they're going to need more janitorial services. Now, of course, this was a contract that was issued recently, so the expiration is a few years out. However, if you look up contracts that were issued a few years ago, you'll be able to see expiration dates that are probably closer to expiring. But I just want to use this as an example to show you how you can utilize the database to prepare for upcoming opportunities. So let's say a few years down the road, you look at this and you say, okay, well, this is expiring soon. I can probably assume that this is going to be rebid. Well, the great news is all of the information from the previous bid is available in the solicitation documents. So you can look up the solicitation documents. And see, the scope of work, what was needed then. Not to say, and this is very important to understand, not to say that the scope of work will not change contract by contract, but it just gives you a general idea of what was procured then, so that you can prepare and be ready for when it comes back out for bid, when it's, the contract is up for expiration. One thing to remember is that when a contract approaches the expiration date, there are two things that can happen. One, if there are renewals or options available in the contract, options can be executed. However, if there are no options on the contract, which means no renewals available, then the contract must be rebid. We don't just automatically award a contract to an incumbent. It has to be rebid if there's no contractual options available. So keep that in mind. And the other thing you can look at is you can look at the vendor. This vendor happens to be Alliance, which I believe is one of our preferred providers. But if it is you can look up the vendor and see if there are subcontracting opportunities maybe available under that vendor. So there's a couple of things you can do. And again, there's no guarantees on if any of this will actually work out with any types of opportunities, but it's all, again, business intelligence. It's helping you do research. It's helping you prepare for future opportunities and just getting used to the contracting process. So that's really how you can utilize the contracts database. And anything that's going to be recurring will likely be your best bet for looking at the contracts. Because let's say like this one here, Loop Road improvements at Baltimore City Community College, chances are they're not going to be rebidding that same exact contract, 4 or 5 years from now. Let's probably hope they're hoping to fix it and be done with it until it, So just keep in mind what you're looking at. It's a lot of the service contracts, whether it be janitorial services, trash removal services, security guard services. Those types of contracts are really the ones that you can benefit from understanding when they're going to be coming up for renewal. And Yasmin, is there any questions on this as we get ready to go into the last quick section of the?
No questions. This has been a brilliant show and tell. I love it. So yeah, if you have any questions for Cristen, you know, we've only got a few minutes left, so, you know, make the most of this opportunity to type them in the chat box.
All right, so the next thing I wanted to really get into is I wanted to go over the resources real quick, just to remind you all where they are available. And yeah, and you saw that I had these up. I don't know what happened to my tabs. I must have closed them all. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up is the videos. So what we have is we have what's called a go-to stage. And I'm going to put this link right here in the chat box. And let me put that in. Oops. Because what this is it's a link to our go-to stage account that has vendor videos for eMMA. So we have two types of videos. We have video QRG, which is basically a video version of a quick reference guide helping you understand a specific topic. We also have video help desk, which is, you know, basically a frequently asked questions type of video that helps show you how to get around a frequently asked problem or a frequent problem. So for example, help, I'm not receiving notifications. That is a lot of what we showed here today. That also covers what I had spoke about earlier today in the assigning user roles. So if you're feeling that you're not getting notifications, then please watch this video. Maybe it'll help you understand what you can do to alleviate that problem. Understanding UNPSC is some of what we covered today. Other videos include searching for open solicitations, vendor registration. So if you need to register, here's some vendor registration videos. And then these other ones. We're trying to constantly add videos. It's a little bit slow because we have a lot going on with the project. But please check back. I put the link in the chat so that everybody can get this link. Save it to your favorites so that you don't lose it. So the other thing I wanted to bring up is the procurement page. I'm going to go back to procurement.maryland.gov. Again, procurement.maryland.gov. And I'm going to visit eMMA again. eMMA's this tab over here. On the eMMA page, on the eMaryland Marketplace Advantage, there is a frequently asked questions page and a quick reference guides page. If you have questions, visit the frequently asked questions page. It might actually have an answer for you. If you're looking for help doing something, navigating eMMA, doing a specific process with eMMA, use the quick reference guides so that you can get some. Here it goes loading. It gives you instructions, step-by-step instructions with screenshots on how to do certain things. So we're trying to incorporate a lot of different training tools. I know our Office of State Procurement training office, the Procurement Academy, is trying to put out more training as well. So stay tuned for that type of information so that you can attend any training that comes up. All right. So that really covers the resources. I really wanted to just touch on that because it's important, but I also want to make sure that I have time to go over the last part of the presentation, which is talking about some things that are coming soon. All right, so since the launch of the new eMaryland Marketplace Advantage tool in 2019, the eMMA project team has been diligently working to improve upon and enhance the functionality of the system. So there have been several significant updates since the initial launch. However, these mostly affected the internal processes, and they were mostly unnoticed by business users. Basically, you didn't see things change because it was all on the internal side. However, the update scheduled for this fall will be different. The update that's coming this fall is being referred to as Release 1.2. Many of you, hopefully all of you, have received some communication related to Release 1.2, some initial information. However, if you have not, what I want to explain today is that Release 1.2 is the first step toward transitioning the vendor payments from the current FEMA system to eMMA. So basically, what's happening is that the payment information that has previously been managed through the comptroller's office and a paper process with all of the paper forms, whether you are registering as a vendor in the payment system or modifying your information, that will now be handled by the vendors in eMMA. So it's going to be a significant change in the process as well as a different look to the system, because we're going to be asking vendors for additional information upon registration and doing things like this. I am saying all of this today to give you a heads up. This system is still being built out. We're in phases of reviewing the build and things of that nature. So we're releasing information as it becomes available. At this point, the project team is continuing to work through the development of the new features. Again, they will be sending out status updates and reminder emails to registered users as information becomes available. So what you need to do is to be sure to watch out for this information so you can keep up with the changes that are coming down the line. This information will be emailed to you. I cannot stress enough the importance of making sure your email address is correct in eMMA. If you haven't done this already, double check your information, make sure it's accurate so that you are receiving the emails. I know a communication came out, I believe it was last week. If you did not receive that communication, then you should probably check your email address and make sure that your email address is correct. You also want to make sure your profiles are properly set up to receive communications and things like that. Again, if you look at that video I just showed you, the help, I'm not receiving notifications email, that'll show you what you need to do. And then as we approach the release of this new the new features, information on new resources and training will also be distributed. So you will have that information, you will have the ability to learn about the new features, to learn how to use the new features, to learn what you need to do. Just be on the lookout for more information to come. So that's primarily the purpose of me telling you this today, is just to say things are going to be changing, but we will be sending out more information. So be on the lookout for that. So that really ends what I have going on. Wow, 11 o'clock right on the dot. I am, happy to stay and answer any questions. However, if you have any project related questions, meaning if you have questions about what's coming down the line, about anything I just said, about the payment side of things, please address those questions to the eMMA project team. Their email address is right here on the screen. It's dgs.emmaprojectteam@maryland.gov. And they should be able to answer those for you. However, just keep in mind that they might not have, a whole lot of information to share at this point because they're still developing, the system. So just, be mindful of that when you have questions. Sometimes you just might need to, be a little bit patient and wait for it to come to you. So that's really all I have for now, unless we have any questions.
Hi, Cristen. Thank you so much. That's great. Yeah, we do have one question. Let's see. How do I find IT master contracts and vendors that are listed on the master contract?
I do not believe our information technology contracts are in eMMA at this point. Okay. I do know that you can see if you go to information, I believe it's on their website still. Yeah, so if you go to the Department of Information Technology website, it looks like they still do have all of their contracts here. I just don't know if it lists I'm assuming that CAS is what yeah, I'm not sure that there's actually a list. Oh, there we go. that looks like their Tickets Plus master contractor list. I think that's what the question was.
Yep, that looks like it. Would you be able to put that link in the chat box?
I sure can. All right, so that's the link. It's the Do It link. That's the master contractors for that's specifically the CATS Plus contract. That's the most commonly asked about contract. So I assume that's what it was going to be related to. But as you can see I found it right on the Department of Information Technology website. There is a lot of information about their contracting. So I would, if you are in technology, whether that be a product or service, I highly recommend that you visit the Department of Information Technology website because they do actually have a lot of information available to help you learn about the master contracting and things of that nature. And in all honesty, what's on that website is about my level of knowledge as well. It's where I get all my information from.
That's great. Thank you so much. Well, that's all we have time for. I really appreciate what you've done today, Cristen. I know the feedback already from the audience has been amazing. So this has been really, really helpful. Once I get the slide deck from you, I will email it to everyone. And the recording of this will be on our YouTube channel later today. So I will also put that link in the email to you. So thank you, Cristen. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you again on another PTAC webinar. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.